Now that we know the different types of fertilizers and can properly decode the information on the label, let's talk about how and when to apply them. Various spreaders can be used to broadcast fertilizer evenly over the landscape bed area. Wheeled broadcast spreaders may have a rotary or drop mechanism to distribute fertilizer granules that are held in a hopper. For small areas or areas that are impossible to travel with a wheeled spreader, a belly grinder spreader can be used. Same equipment may be used to spread pesticide products such as pre-emergent herbicides on a landscape. If using the same equipment to spread fertilizer and pesticides, make sure to learn how to properly clean pesticide spray equipment or plants may be injured by residue. Many companies will keep spreaders specifically for fertilizer to avoid possible pesticide contamination. Make certain the foliage is dry when fertilizer is broadcast over the tops of ornamentals because foliage can be burned if fertilizer sticks to it. If granular fertilizer does land on foliage, gently brush it or blow it off. Some dry granular fertilizers release nutrients over time. Controlled release fertilizers are tiny beads of fertilizer covered in a membrane. The individual pieces are called prills. The membrane can be made of resin, plastic, or polymers. Water flows into the membrane, dissolves the fertilizer inside, and then flows out of the membrane with the fertilizer nutrients. Depending on temperature and irrigation rate, fertilizer is released through the membrane and is made available to plant roots. When using these controlled release products, be sure to read the labels. Some last for 3 months, others can last up to 8 months, and with warmer and wetter weather, the fertilizer is released more quickly. Fertilizers can also be applied as liquids, and these can also be organic or inorganic. They typically come as a concentrated liquid that you can dilute with water before applying, or as a water-soluble crystal that you dilute into water. Water-soluble fertilizers are typically inorganic minerals that also have a dye. They are sold in bags, buckets, or boxes in a salt crystal form that dissolves in water. The packaging will tell you the rate of how much fertilizer to add to water. Be careful to measure it correctly because water-soluble liquid fertilizers are available to plants immediately, and the damage from over-fertilization can occur quickly. These water-soluble fertilizers may be applied with watering cans, which is slow work. They may also be applied with a hose-in sprayer that precisely injects fertilizer into the water. Other fertilizer injection devices are available to make it easier to use water-soluble fertilizers. Inline siphon systems can be used to blend the fertilizer concentrate into hose water. Water-soluble fertilizers can be injected into the soil with a probe device called a root feeder, which is typically used for established woody plants. However, these probes can damage roots and do not distribute fertilizer as evenly as granular fertilizers. Sometimes liquid fertilizers are applied as a foliage feed to quickly fix iron or manganese deficiencies. The deficiency could be caused by incorrect pH or another root zone issue. These images show an iron and a calcium fertilizer that can be used by foliar application. This is a possible short-term fix, but roots are better able to take up nutrients and should be the primary way that plants are fed. Any soil or root issues should then be addressed. Nutrients can also be micro-injected into tree trunks, and this is typically only used to help plants that have severe nutrient deficiencies. Each time the bark and wood of a tree is drilled into, there is a possibility of allowing pathogens or insects to enter the tree, so micro-injection of nutrients should be done sparingly. The timing of a fertilizer application is also crucial. Trees and shrubs should not be fertilized during the first year after planting. They do not have an established root system with an extensive network of fine feeder roots to extract nutrients from the soil. The timing can also vary by plant or fertilizer form. Again, the fertilizer label will tell you when to use specific products. Generally, June 30th is the last day for fertilizing trees, shrubs, fruits, and perennial flowers. Fertilizing later in the summer stimulates succulent growth that might not have enough time to harden off and become cold hardy before winter. Here are a few other things to keep in mind. You may choose to continue to fertilize annual flowers throughout the summer as needed. Plants growing in shade generally require less fertilizer than plants growing in the sun. Plants growing in sandy soil typically need to be fertilized more often than plants growing in clay soils. Plants growing in urban settings have roots that are restricted by streets, sidewalks, and other structures. they may need more frequent fertilization to supply their nutrient needs. Finally, be alert for fertilizers with added products like pesticides. Insecticides, herbicides, and fungicides are sometimes added to fertilizers to help control pests like grubs or weeds. Products like Weed and Feed are fertilizers that also contain herbicides. This product is effective at controlling many broadleaf weeds that are growing in turf grass, but if it is accidentally applied under or close to broadleaf landscape plants, it can damage or kill them. And because these products contain pesticides, you must be a certified pesticide applicator or registered technician to apply them to a client's property. When spreading fertilizer, remember that different plants have different needs. For example, turf and trees often grow side by side, but turf generally requires more nitrogen than trees. Be sure to identify the plant and its pH and fertility needs before choosing and applying a fertilizer. In addition to the types of fertilizers used on ornamental plants, landscapers need to know the type of application equipment to use, the proper timing and amount to apply, and any pesticide additives that are in the fertilizer products.